The Auditor General has found the government failed to follow proper processes in awarding funding to Mike King's Gumboot Friday charity. The mental health service that provides free counselling to youth was given a $24 million government contract based on coalition commitments. But the Auditor General says that's not justification for excluding other providers from bidding for a contract. Here's senior political correspondent Jenna Lynch.
Mike King has fought hard for his mental health charity, so frustrated with the lack of action in 2021, he marched to Parliament and handed back his Order of Merit medal.
I feel nothing about giving the medal back, but I feel just a profound sense of sadness that no one's listening.
He fought for funding for Gumboot Friday from successive governments, but wasn't always satisfied.
I want them to admit that the system is broken.
Until this one coughed up the cash.
We're investing $24 million into Gumboot Friday.
While the Ministry of Health had in the past rejected funding applications from Gumboot Friday as they had not complied with procurement processes, the promise was inked into the coalition deals, and so it was.
We're very grateful for your inputs.
But the Auditor General says the coalition commitment does not equal proper process. In a letter to the Director General of Health, he says several aspects of the funding were unusual and inconsistent with principles of transparency, accountability and value for money, saying the selection of the supplier and the amount of funding was decided without an open and transparent process. The funding was to a specific supplier rather than to a broad policy initiative, and the limited analysis was done only after the decision to provide funding to the supplier had been made.
The process is there for a reason, which is to make things fair and accountable and contestable, and to ensure that the public gets value for money. And so when winners are pre-picked and the decision is pre-cooked, it's really bad for outcomes, for health outcomes, and it's really bad for democracy.
The Mental Health Minister was not available for an interview, but in a statement blamed officials, saying while the decision to fund Gumboot Friday was a decision made by the government, how this commitment was implemented was a decision for the Ministry of Health.
The Minister has thrown his officials under the bus rather than take responsibility for dodgy procurement that suits his political ends.
Labor says that money is desperately needed elsewhere.
What is desperately needed at the moment is funding for the groups that were locked out of the Gumboot Friday funding. We've seen organisations fall over and others that are about to.
There's no denying, no matter the provider, the need exists for more mental health support.
Oh, kia ora, Jenna. Have we heard from the Ministry of Health on this?
Yeah, we have received a statement through from them, and it is a mea culpa of sorts. It basically says that they were working at pace and with hindsight things would have been done differently, but it does defend the decision to fund Gumboot Friday, saying that it was an organisation that was ready to scale up at pace, and to date it has been meeting its contractual obligations. Now, it is important to note that nothing in the Auditor General's report questions the organisation itself, just the process that the government and officials undertook to award that contract. And it is highly unusual to have an uncontestable contract where other organisations could not have bid to provide those services. So unusual that the Ministry of Health had to opt out of using its own rules, and that was only done after the decision had been made to actually fund Gumboot Friday. It's also ironic that in an environment where this government has ordered all of the departments to run a ruler over all of the contracts that they have, it wasn't willing to run the same ruler over a contract it promised on the election campaign. I have heard from Mike King himself on this today, and he has told me that we will continue to deliver an excellent and much needed service to the kids of New Zealand.
OK, Jenna, thanks for the update.